I am still hyperventilating. I mean, I genuinely need you to understand that I have been staring at a blank wall for a full 24 hours.
Literally same. My brain is broken.
I just watched a woman in a full bridal gown attempt to negotiate with a phantom caterer in the pouring rain, and this is only hours after a completely unhinged screaming match over crumpets and Centennial Olympic Park trivia.
It was a cinematic masterpiece of absolute dysfunction, honestly.
The absolute chaos of this Belle collective finale has rearranged my brain chemistry. It really has.
Oh, I am genuinely considering sending my therapy bills directly to the producers, because trying to mentally process a blindfolded living room stripper fiasco, like pivoting immediately into a profoundly emotional rain-soaked bucket brigade of macaroni and cheese, that requires professional psychiatric help.
It's too much. It is just too much.
But before we unpack the psychological warfare of the Atlanta Tea Tour,
Babes, welcome back. We love you. We see you. And honestly, being an adult is just scheduling dinner 6 weeks in advance and still asking, so what are we doing this weekend?
it is the most devastatingly accurate statement of the human condition. I mean, my calendar looks like an aggressive game of corporate Tetris, and the prize for winning is just getting to wear hard pants and paying $38 for a mediocre cocktail.
Exactly. But tonight, Snark Squad, you are in luck because we are skipping the hard pants entirely.
Thank God.
I have mixed up a pitcher of extremely heavy-handed peach bourbon lemonades. We are leaning all the way into those sticky, sweet, heavily poured Southern vibes tonight. Cheers, bestie.
Cheers. Oh, wow, that is magnificent and incredibly strong.
I poured with a heavy hand.
Which is exactly the medicinal dosage we need to navigate the thematic through line of tonight's chat, which is essentially, the exorbitant personal cost of building an empire.
Yes, everyone wants to be a mogul until it's time to actually process the emotional toll it takes on your life.
Seriously. But before we get to the women of Jackson, Mississippi, I feel like we need to have a moment of complete transparency with the listeners.
Oh, boy. But our own failed attempts at empire building today.
Yes. We tried to be productive. We really did. We had such pure intentions.
We had a strategic vision that would rival, like, a Fortune 500 CEO.
We sat down this morning, sipped our iced coffees, and drafted what I can only describe as a wildly ambitious, completely delusional 20-item to-do list.
It was a beautiful list, though. Color-coded and everything.
It was gorgeous. I was going to conquer the bureaucratic world. I was going to finally call the IRS, organize my winter coats by seasonal color gradient, meal prep macro balanced lunches for the next 12 days, and somehow learn conversational French before sunset.
And when reality came crashing down, what did we actually accomplish from that gorgeous parchment of lies?
Do not expose us like this.
3 things. 3 entirely microscopic things. And I am ashamed to admit that one of those things was physically writing "make the list" just so I could experience the dopamine rush of crossing it out.
Hey, I will defend the psychological necessity of crossing out make the list until the day I die. It validates the sheer mental energy required to conceptualize the day.
It's a valid task.
But it wasn't the actual tasks that derailed us. It was the random side quests.
The side quests.
We decided, for some inexplicable reason, that today, of all days in our brief mortal existence, was the day we absolutely had to organize the kitchen junk drawer.
I need to spiral on this for a second, because why did it take 2 agonizing hours?
Because it's a trap.
How does one standard-sized wooden drawer hold a completely dried-out Sharpie, 14 soy sauce packets from a fusion restaurant that literally burned down 3 years ago,
R.I.P. to that place, by the way,
and a single solitary AAA battery that we refuse to throw away because what if it still holds a charge? Plus a crumpled, greasy manual for a microwave we haven't owned since 2019. It was like excavating a time capsule of our own domestic failures.
It's because navigating the junk drawer isn't a physical task, it's an emotional one.
It really is.
The emotional labor of deciding whether to keep a rusted paperclip or like a spare button to a cardigan you donated during the pandemic is staggering. It forces you to confront your own attachment to the past.
That is profound.
But let's be entirely honest with the Snark Squad here. The junk drawer was only a 2-hour detour because of the TikTok trans.
Oh, God. I am pleading guilty. I am throwing myself at the mercy of the court.
It was supposed to be a quote-unquote quick scroll.
A tiny digital treat, just as a reward for finally throwing away the dead Sharpie. Just one little peek at the algorithm.
And what happened?
45 minutes evaporated into the ether. I was in a complete catatonic trance watching a woman in a snowy cottage in rural Sweden churned butter from scratch while a harp played softly in the background.
You don't even consume dairy.
I know, but I felt like I was healing my ancestral
The
trauma.
algorithm is predatory, girl. It knows exactly when you have an anxiety-inducing email draft sitting open on your desktop. It senses the weakness in your nervous system and feeds you agrarian escapism.
It really does. And let me just say, checking off just one actual email today felt like winning an Olympic gold medal.
Truly. I drafted a response. I tactfully added, "Hope this helps," which we all know translates to, "Please never contact me again." I hit send, and I genuinely felt like the national anthem should be playing in my living room. Sometimes productivity is just surviving the capitalist machine without throwing your laptop out a closed window.
You are preaching the absolute truth. We survived.
Barely.
And speaking of the exhausting reality of adulting, navigating friendships in our grown-up lives takes an incredible toll. It ties right back into that theme of the cost of building our little empires.
Oh, absolutely.
We pour so much energy into our careers and our survival that our social lives become this fragile, high-stakes ecosystem. Which brings us to the docket for tonight's friend group etiquette debate.
The courtroom is officially in session. Snark Squad, brace yourselves, because friendships are fundamentally just professionally catered arguments if you don't have the sociological rules clearly defined.
Exactly.
Let's hit the first charge on the docket. How late is too late to cancel plans?
Okay, I am taking the empathetic, emotional wellness stance here, and I will die on this hill. I believe in grace.
Oh, here we go.
We are all profoundly exhausted. We are all chronically overstimulated. If you wake up on the morning of a scheduled brunch and your social battery is sitting at 1%, you should be allowed to text your group chat and say, "Hey, I love you, but I need a mental health day."
No, absolutely not.
Even if it's 2 hours before the reservation. True friends prioritize your peace over a mimosa.
I am vehemently objecting to this culture of flakiness masked as self-care. Anything under 24 hours requires a handwritten apology, a bouquet of apology lilies, and a direct cash settlement via Venmo.
A cash settlement. You are ridiculous.
Do you understand the psychological and logistical preparation it takes for me to leave my sanctuary? I have shaved my legs. I have meticulously coordinated an outfit that balances effortless with devastating.
Devastating, okay.
I have mentally rehearsed small talk topics. If you cancel on me 2 hours before, you owe me the hourly rate of my wasted anxiety. 24 hours is the strict minimum cutoff unless you are actively being abducted by aliens or actively in labor.
You are ruthless. You leave absolutely zero room for human frailty.
I leave room for respect of my time.
Okay, fine. Let's look at scenario number 2, because this one tears groups apart. You're out to dinner. The group decides to get the spinach and artichoke dip for the table.
A classic.
One person, and we all know this person, proceeds to consume 75% of the dip while everyone else is talking. Is it rude to still split that appetizer evenly on the final bill?
I am bringing out the whiteboard, the graphing calculator, and a forensic accountant for this. It is astronomically rude.
Astronomically.
Yes. If we agree to split a shared plate, there is an unspoken social contract of geometric proportions. You get your designated quadrant, I get my designated quadrant.
It's just cheese and spinach.
If I look away to take a sip of my martini and I look back to see you scooping up the last giant molten glob of artichoke with a pathetically tiny piece of pita bread, you are funding that dip. The math is undeniable. Whoever alters the geometric balance of the appetizer absorbs the financial liability of the appetizer.
I just cannot live like that. I would happily toss in my $5 just to keep the peace. I don't want to be the girl with a protractor and a ledger at the tapas restaurant ruining the vibe over dairy products.
The vibe was ruined when the geometry was violated.
Moving on to number 3. How long should you wait before double texting a friend?
3 to 5 business days. Let the woman live. Give her space to process her existence.
Are you out of your mind? 3 to 5 days.
Yeah.
If I send you a highly specific niche meme that perfectly encapsulates our dynamic and you don't respond in 4 hours, I'm double texting you to ask if you're mad at me.
That is unhinged.
And if you still don't respond by dinner time, I am sending a single question mark. Friendship requires a constant tether of communication. It's about attachment theory.
Oh, please do not bring attachment theory into your impatient texting habits.
If you leave me on read when I know for a factual certainty that your phone is glued to your hand, it triggers my anxious attachment.
The sheer, unadulterated desperation of the single question mark text is chilling. It's a hostage negotiation tactic.
It gets answers.
Let's move to item 4 before I diagnose you. Should everyone bring something to a dinner party?
Yes, inherently and always.
Mm.
A beautiful bottle of wine, some fresh farmer's market flowers, maybe a gorgeous little artisan candle.
Okay, okay.
It's just the polite, sweet, communal thing to do. It acknowledges the host's effort and brings positive energy into their home.
See, I agree you have to bring a tribute, but it needs to be strictly assigned and ruthlessly vetted.
Ruthlessly vetted.
Do not go rogue in my kitchen. If the host says just bring yourself, it is absolutely a trap. They are testing you. But, and this is a huge, but if you show up with an unannounced, elaborate, heavy-bottom casserole that suddenly needs to go into my oven,
Oh, that's stressful.
when my oven is currently occupied by a carefully timed, temperature-sensitive roast, you have just committed culinary sabotage. You have ruined the rhythm of the evening.
Okay, that is incredibly valid. Bringing chores to a dinner party is a felony offense.
Bring a room temperature dessert or a sealed bottle of alcohol that requires zero preparation. Do not bring me chores disguised as gifts.
Fair point. All right, final etiquette question on the docket. Is showing up early actually helpful or is it stressful?
Oh, I have strong feelings on this.
I actually think it's deeply intimate and sweet. If a close friend comes 15 minutes early, I can pour us a glass of wine. They can sit at the kitchen island and talk to me while I chop the final veggies.
No.
It feels relaxed and strips away the formal pressure before the whole loud crowd gets there.
If you show up 15 minutes early to my house, I will stare at you through the Ring camera while you wait outside until exactly 7 p.m.
You would leave me on the porch.
Early arrivers are domestic terrorists. The last 15 minutes before a party is a sacred window of sheer panic.
I mean, I guess...
It is when the host is sprinting around the house in a towel, hiding random piles of mail in the bathtub, aggressively lighting candles to mask the smell of burnt garlic, and sweating profusely over a hot stove. If the doorbell rings at 6:45, my soul violently detaches from my physical body.
Your boundaries are practically electric fences. It's terrifying.
It keeps the peace.
But, seamlessly pivoting from the rules of friendship to the rules of business, have you noticed how this perfectly mirrors the reality TV pipeline?
Oh, 100%.
The second anyone gets cast on a show and strapped with a mic pack, they suddenly decide they need to be a mogul. They're instantly, building an empire.
The business owner delusions are undeniably my favorite subgenre of reality television psychology. It's fascinating.
It really is.
They mistake having an audience for having a viable business model. Suddenly, a woman who has never balanced a spreadsheet is launching a luxury dog wig line, or a line of sparkling alkaline water for toddlers, or a skincare brand formulated with crushed moon rocks.
Crushed moon rocks. I would probably buy that, honestly.
Of course you would. It's the commodification of their own fragile fame.
So let's play Shark Tank for a brief second. If we had that unlimited, unhinged, blank check reality TV money to launch one completely ridiculous, self-indulgent business right now, what are you pitching me?
Oh, I have been refining this concept for years. I am pitching a sprawling, dimly lit cafe where people are absolutely, under penalty of law, not allowed to work on laptops.
Oh, wow.
It is an aggressively anti-hustle, anti-grind culture establishment. If you so much as crack open a MacBook, a physical siren goes off, and a bouncer dressed as a 19th century romantic poet violently escorts you to the alley.
A romantic poet. I love it.
You are only allowed to stare into the middle distance, gossip in hushed tones over espresso, or aggressively read a paperback novel. No Wi-Fi, no Zoom calls, just purely aesthetically pleasing, caffeinated loitering.
That sounds like heaven.
It's a rebellion against the empire-building mindset. Or, alternatively, a reality TV-themed escape room where you have to survive a housewives reunion to unlock the door.
Wait, tell me more about that one.
You literally have to physically dig through a fake Birkin bag to find the missing printed text receipts to escape the room before the timer runs out.
I would drain my savings account to do that escape room. Take all my money.
Right. What's your pitch?
Okay, here's my pitch. I want to launch a luxury high-end nap lounge right in the middle of a stressful corporate downtown financial district. I'm talking peak emotional wellness.
Okay, nap lounge. Go on.
Soundproof velvet pods, weighted bamboo blankets, aromatherapy eucalyptus diffusers. But here's the absolute kicker that makes it a billion-dollar idea.
Hit me.
It's attached to a luxury dog daycare with a live webcam and premium spa services. So you can go on your lunch break, drop off your golden retriever for a blueberry exfoliating facial...
No, blueberry facial for a dog?
Yes. And then you go take a guided 45-minute meditation nap while an esthetician gently strokes your hair and tells you everything is going to be okay.
Honestly, given the sheer level of societal burnout, both of those concepts would probably generate millions in venture capital in Los Angeles tomorrow.
We should pitch it.
But babes, enough about our own entrepreneurial delusions. Let's head into Belle Collective, where everybody's building an empire and protecting their peace, at least until the next group event.
The Season 8 finale. I mean, I am still vibrating from the sheer density of the drama. Where do we even begin parsing this out?
It was dense.
We have marital devastation. We have whiskey tastings acting as a backdrop for existential dread. We have a literal bus ride through hell. Let's start with Carrie and Matt, because this specific dynamic has been a suffocating dark cloud hanging over the entire season.
Let's paint the scene for the Snark Squad, because the visual symbolism here is just dripping with psychological tension.
It really is.
It is freezing outside in Atlanta. Carrie is pacing in the cold, visibly vibrating with stress, and Matt has literally walked outside wrapped in a massive, thick blanket.
A literal blanket.
He is swaddled like a massive, apathetic infant, completely and utterly unfazed by the swirling vortex of financial and emotional anxiety his wife is currently drowning in.
And this, where my empathy kicks in so hard. I know you're going to analyze this coldly, but my heart genuinely broke a little for Carrie in this precise moment.
Oh, here come the tears.
We know the context. Her business is struggling massively. She is fighting off the terrifying specter of financial ruin, which ties right back into our theme of the cost of the empire. And on top of that, she is dealing with Marlene, her extremely hostile mother-in-law, who constantly undermines her.
True. Marlene is a lot.
Carrie is looking at her life partner, looking at Matt, and essentially begging him, like, feel this profound pain with me. Take on some of this atmospheric stress. Act like you care that our world is cracking. She wants a teammate in the trenches.
A teammate, sure.
When you are drowning in anxiety, you want your partner to validate that the water is terrifyingly deep. You don't want them to sit on a dry yacht wrapped in a blanket telling you it's going to be fine. She desperately needs emotional support.
Okay, I hear your deep well of empathy, but I'm putting on my analytical hat.
Put it on.
Because if we look at the mechanics of this relationship, Matt is entirely justified in his retreat. You cannot demand that a grown man wallows in manufactured misery just to keep you company.
Manufactured. It's her real business failing.
But misery loves company, and Carrie is handing out VIP, all-access passes to her pity party. Look at attachment styles here. Carrie is incredibly anxious, preoccupied. She floods the space with her emotional dysregulation.
She is very flooded, that's true.
Matt is dismissive, avoidant. He is saying, through his actions, I handle stress internally. I cannot live in your sorrow. If your business is failing, having a synchronized freakout in the driveway doesn't magically fix the balance sheet.
It doesn't fix it, no, but it makes you feel less alone.
And let's call a spade a spade. Carrie uses Matt as a literal emotional punching bag. She called him a quote-unquote mother plucker in front of the entire group of women earlier. She completely stripped him of his dignity.
Ugh, I can't defend the name-calling. That was incredibly difficult to watch. You simply cannot emasculate your husband in a public forum and then cry the victim when he retreats to a hotel room because he feels profoundly disrespected.
Exactly. He fled to a hotel because she doesn't communicate with him. She launches verbal artillery at him. She demands that he, quote, ride her wave of stress. But her wave is just a relentless tsunami of verbal abuse, frantic energy, and misplaced rage.
Tsunami is the perfect word.
You cannot hurl insults at your life partner and then look shocked when they wrap themselves in a literal and metaphorical blanket and completely emotionally check out. Matt is desperately holding on to the last shreds of his own sanity.
It's a vicious cycle. And it's true, she admitted later on the bus that she uses him as a punching bag, which we are absolutely going to dissect.
Oh, we are.
But I want to highlight the stark, almost comedic contrast of the women's drama versus the men's activity. While the women are aggressively gearing up for psychological warfare on a party bus, the men are at the ASW distillery doing a highly refined whiskey tasting.
The men's trip was an absolute masterclass in avoidance. The tour guide is earnestly trying to teach them the elegant mechanics of whiskey tasting, telling them to swirl the glass, look at the legs of the liquor dripping down the sides, letting the complex notes coat their palates.
And the legs of the liquor.
And the guys are just staring at the glasses, desperately trying to get some hair on their chests and get a little tipsy to numb the fact that the quote-unquote bells are constantly ringing in their ears with chaos.
The conversation they had over those tasting glasses was incredibly telling, though. It highlighted such a massive disconnect in these marriages.
Completely.
Because back at the Airbnb, you have Latrice aggressively pushing this narrative for a baby. She's setting up romantic vibes, talking constantly about wanting a child, trying to manifest this huge life change.
She is determined.
And then you pan to the men at the distillery. Cliff, who already has a blended family of 5 kids and is actively enjoying his grandchildren, is just staring into his bourbon, essentially saying, look, I just want to be a grandpa. I am absolutely not trying to be a daddy again. He is completely and unequivocally shutting down the baby fever.
It's a sociological study in how men bond under the pressure of hyper-ambitious women. You can tangibly feel the dark shadow of Latishia's post-nup drama hovering over all these men as they sip their wheated bourbon.
Oh, it's thick in the air.
They are all quietly watching each other's marriages crack under the immense pressure of their wives' empires and reality TV demands. Cliff is sitting there looking at Glen, who is fighting over legal documents.
Looking at Mike, who just wants peace.
Right, and realizing that absolutely none of them want the compounded stress that their wives are trying to hand them. Mike explicitly and hilariously says they have big kids, little kids, tall kids, the quota is met. They do not need any more dependents.
Money Mike has spoken. Okay, I can't delay it any longer. We have to get to the main event.
The undisputed climax of the episode.
The Atlanta Tea Tour of Terror.
The situational irony of the scene is just too delicious for words. Latrice, in her infinite wisdom, plans this highly curated 75-minute bus tour of historic Atlanta.
A moving bus.
The Belles are explicitly instructed to dress in their finest, most elegant high tea attire. They show up in elaborate fascinators. They are draped in delicate lace. They are wearing formal gloves.
They look incredible, to be fair.
They are trying so desperately hard to project this aura of bad and bougie Southern elegance and refined wealth.
And what do they actually do with that elegance? They sit on this beautifully decorated moving vehicle, eating literal crumpets and tiny cucumber sandwiches, and proceed to absolutely tear each other to shreds on a molecular level.
It was brutal.
It's like watching a vicious, no-holds-barred cage match, but everyone is dressed for an episode of Downton Abbey.
Let's start dissecting Carrie's confession on the bus, because it was a masterclass in deflection. Selena, bless her sweet, conflict-avoidant heart, tries to gently and diplomatically bring up the fact that Carrie deeply disrespected Matt that morning.
Selena was trying to be so gentle.
She was. She's like, so babe, you called him a mother you-know-what in front of everybody. What's going on there?
And Carrie's defense is completely wild. She doesn't apologize. She doesn't show remorse. She looks at the women and says, look, my marriage isn't perfect. We've been together since we were teenagers. Sometimes I use him as an emotional punching bag, but I've been working on it for 20 years.
20 years.
Babes, 20 years.
Right.
If you have been actively working on not verbally abusing the man you love for 2 solid decades, you need a new curriculum.
Let's break down the psychology of what she's doing there.
Yeah.
She is weaponizing time. Saying we've been together since we were teenagers is the sunk cost fallacy applied to a marriage. It's the idea that because they have history, she is exempt from the basic tenets of respect. And it's the fact that she said it with her whole chest puffing up like it was a badge of honor.
It was so arrogant.
She basically told the group, my skeletons aren't dustier than yours. Girl, your skeletons are driving the damn bus. You cannot use longevity to justify toxic, destructive behavior. If anything, being together that long means you should have mastered the art of basic human decency toward each other by now.
The other women were staring at her under the brims of their fascinators like she had 3 heads. It was awkward.
But the real earth-shattering explosion wasn't about Matt. It was Marie versus Kerri.
The heavyweight title fight.
Marie has been holding on to this resentment for weeks, and she finally unloads the clip. She calls Carrie out directly for missing her business's grand opening. And Carrie, instead of just apologizing, immediately gets defensive and starts complaining about the logistics.
She whines that it's a 3-hour drive there and a 3-hour drive back, making it a grueling 6-hour round trip just to show up for a party.
I am 100% unequivocally on Marie's side here. I am slamming the gavel so hard the bench breaks.
I figured you would be.
If you want to be on an ensemble reality television show, if you want to wear the crown of a Belle, if you want to cash the network checks and leverage the airtime to build your own failing empire, you have to show up to the group events.
Sure.
Period. You do not get to complain about a commute when this is the literal job you signed a contract to do.
That is true. They are contractually obligated to interact.
Marie sacrificed her time and showed up for Carrie's influencer event, even when the dynamics were incredibly awkward and hostile. Carrie couldn't carve out a few hours to support Marie's grand opening. It speaks volumes about her self-centeredness.
And Marie makes it so much deeper than just a frustrating drive. She reveals the underlying mechanics of her anger. Marie is furious because Carrie actively chose to partner with Latrice for a separate event instead of Lateshia.
The betrayal.
And Lateshia is the one who brought Carrie into the collective. Marie is fiercely, almost militantly loyal to the social hierarchy of the group. She feels like Carrie is stepping on toes, disregarding the chain of command, and biting the hand that fed her reality TV relevance.
But then Carrie bites back. She realizes she's losing the argument about the grand opening, so she pivots to warfare. She brings up the insidious social media rumors.
Not just so low.
The vicious whispers that Marie's business, Hamilton Davis, had secretly shut down. And you watch Marie's reaction go from standard reality TV annoyance to utterly, profoundly triggered. She gets incredibly defensive, yelling at the top of her lungs that her business is incorporated, in good standing, and very much open.
I think we really need to pause and give deep context here for the Snark Squad, because if you're a casual viewer, Marie's reaction seems wildly disproportionate.
It does look like an overreaction without the backstory.
You have to remember the deep trauma she endured in Season 1. Marie dealt with horrific, life-altering Medicaid fraud allegations. Those allegations severely impacted her life, dragged her reputation through the mud, and threatened her very livelihood.
And her professional license.
Exactly. When you work in the medical field, your license is your survival. Rumors about unethical behavior or clinics shutting down aren't just petty, fleeting gossip. They can trigger investigations that ruin your medical credibility. So when the women were casually questioning if her clinic's doors were locked, it hit a massive, unhealed nerve. It threatened her safety.
I completely understand the psychological trauma. I really do. When your survival is tied to public perception, rumors feel like physical threats. But Marie's delivery is where she completely loses the jury.
Yeah, the volume was intense.
She is screaming at maximum volume on a moving public vehicle while wearing a delicate lace hat. And the absolute climax of this entire fight, the moment that made me pause my television, is when the poor, sweet, innocent bus tour guide tries to intervene.
I felt so bad for him.
This man is just trying to do his job. He is trying to explain the rich history of the 1996 Olympics at Centennial Olympic Park. He tries to speak over the yelling, and Carrie literally turns to him, points a finger, and rudely tells him to hush.
I gasped. I audibly, loudly gasped in my living room.
She looks this hardworking man in the eye and says, "Sir, take a pause. The history of the Belles is being written."
You do not disrespect service workers. That man is a civilian. He did not sign a release form to be caught in the crossfire of your narcissism. He is just trying to give you the historical context of a public park.
It was so deeply condescending and utterly delusional. The history of the Belles is being written. You are arguing about a 3-hour commute on a rented bus. You're not drafting the Magna Carta.
Not the Magna Carta.
And then Marie, seizing the perfect moment to contrast Carrie's appalling rudeness to the staff, screams at the top of her lungs, "I am a classy bitch. What you're not going to do is disrespect me."
Classy bitch is an inherent oxymoron, Marie.
Yeah.
You cannot scream at a decibel level that shatters glass that you possess decorum while actively causing a scene that is disturbing the peace of the entire Atlanta metropolitan area.
It's incredible television, though.
The sweet tea was incredibly sour, the atmospheric vibes were toxic, and I just know in my soul that the poor bus driver couldn't wait to hit the air brakes and kick them all onto the curb.
Oh, but the chaos was just getting started. Because after surviving the tea tour from hell, these women go back to the Airbnb to change out of their lace and into their cocktail attire for Latrice and Glen's highly hyped, super surprise bachelor/bachelorette party.
Okay, we have to unpack the blindfolded stripper fiasco.
We must.
Latrice and Glen gather everyone in the center of the living room, forcefully make them put on these elaborate blindfolds, and build up this massive, breathless anticipation. The girls are whispering, they are giggling, they are clearly thinking it's something exotic, maybe a highly choreographed burlesque show, maybe fire dancers, something elevated and sexy.
They finally pull the blindfolds off, and it is a male and female stripper couple. They literally hired a legally married stripper couple to perform a hypersexualized routine for a joint bachelor-bachelorette party in the middle of a rented living room with fluorescent lighting.
Now, I have to defend the energy of the women here for a quick second. Selena, who has been stressed all season, immediately leans into the absurdity.
She did love it.
She's glowing. She is laughing hysterically. She's clapping. She says, I am the bachelorette, and I am ready to just have some fun. The women are genuinely having a blast, letting their hair down, throwing some dollar bills. It's her last night as a single woman, and she is embracing the joy.
Yes, the women were having fun, but let us analytically, sociologically break down how disastrously Latrice and Glen misread the room.
Oh, it was a misread of epic proportions.
You have Mike, Selena's fiancé, who has been established since day one as a very traditional, conservative, stoic, manly man type. He operates on a very strict framework of hegemonic masculinity and spatial boundaries. A living room is a domestic space. Introducing a male stripper into that space violates his traditional framework of what is acceptable for his partnership. He takes one look at this oiled-up male dancer getting ready to rub up on the women, and his face completely drops.
The color literally drained from his face.
He literally says, I'm not trying to sit there and watch my woman rub on no dude, and he just turns on his heel and walks out.
It was so unbearably awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the unspoken code of male solidarity, the rest of the husbands followed him downstairs to the basement.
The mass exodus.
And the editors gave us this incredible cinematic shot of the men just sitting in a circle in the unfinished basement, and they played literal audible cricket sound effects over the footage.
The shade of it all.
They're just sitting there, completely silent, grimly scrolling on their phones, while the bass is thumping violently through the ceiling, and the women are screaming in delight upstairs.
Glen was fuming. He was visibly vibrating with anger that Mike ruined his big, expensive surprise. But Glen, my guy, you have to know your audience.
You really do.
You cannot force a highly traditional conservative man to sit in a folding chair and happily watch an exotic dancer aggressively grind on his future wife. It's a hard boundary, and Mike said it clearly and immediately.
Meanwhile, completely oblivious to the male crisis downstairs, Lateshia is upstairs having the absolute time of her life. She gets into the confessional later and freely, joyfully admits, I got slapped on the butt and I was tooted up.
Tooted up. I cannot with Lateshia. It is fascinating. She is currently going through this agonizing marital strife with Glen over a highly contentious postnuptial agreement to protect her brand and her assets.
But put a married stripper couple in front of her.
Exactly. Suddenly all her anxiety evaporates and she is entirely carefree. But the entire logistical setup was just completely bizarre. A joint bachelor-bachelorette party in the living room of an Airbnb. Why are we combining these energies?
Doesn't make sense.
Send the traditional men to a high-end cigar lounge where they can talk about real estate, and let the women go to a VIP section of a club. Keeping everyone trapped in the exact same room with blindfolds on was a sociological recipe for absolute disaster.
It really was. It was claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the Atlanta trip finally ends, and they head back to Jackson, Mississippi for the actual main event, which is Selena and Mike's wedding.
Finally.
And babes, despite all the screaming and the strippers and the toxicity, there were some truly profoundly beautiful moments here. I'm the emotional bestie of this conversation, and I was genuinely holding back tears.
I'll admit it was touching.
First of all, Selena had a massive wardrobe crisis and had to go buy a simple off-the-rack dress just 8 hours before she walked down the aisle. But she looked absolutely breathtakingly stunning.
The aesthetic execution of the wedding was actually very chic and highly produced. All the guests were strictly instructed to wear formal black attire. That visual contrast made the stark white of Selena's last-minute dress and Mike's crisp tuxedo jacket really pop on camera.
It was gorgeous.
It looked very elevated, very sophisticated, which is a rare compliment for the usual reality TV wedding circus, which usually looks like a prom thrown in a banquet hall.
The walk down the aisle is what completely broke me emotionally. It was so poignant. She didn't have her father there to give her away, and tragically, she doesn't have her son here. So her beautiful daughters, her absolute best friends in the world, walked her down the aisle.
That was really nice to see.
But the most deeply emotional, gut-wrenching part was seeing her late son's picture being carried down the aisle by his children, Selena's grandchildren. Selena said she felt his spiritual presence walking with her. I was genuinely sobbing on my couch. It was such a raw, authentic moment of grief and love intertwined.
It grounded the entire episode. It was a very heavy, very real moment that transcended the petty reality TV drama. And then you have Money Mike.
Yes, Money Mike.
The man who has spoken a grand total of maybe 3 words per season. He had been stubbornly refusing to write his vows, which was making Selena incredibly suspicious and anxious on the bus ride earlier.
She was so stressed about it.
But he stands up there at the altar, pulls out his folded piece of paper, and starts reading these incredibly beautiful, vulnerable, surprise vows. And his voice cracks. He starts crying. You could see, past all the stoicism, how much he genuinely and deeply adores her.
I loved it. It restored my faith and love. It was perfect. They jump the broom. They have their magical first kiss. The ceremony is absolutely flawless, and then they walk into the reception hall.
And reality hits.
The clock strikes 6:30 p.m. The wedding started at 4 p.m. Over 100 guests are sitting at their beautifully decorated tables in their formal black attire, ready to celebrate and eat. And the caterer is entirely missing.
There is 0 food in the building. None. The silver chafing dishes are empty. The buffet tables are a barren, terrifying wasteland. If I were the bride, I would have lost my absolute mind.
Damn.
This is a massive, unforgivable logistical failure. Where was the event coordinator? Where was the wedding planner? Why is Selena, in her stark white bridal gown, standing outside on the wet pavement on her cell phone, desperately trying to track down a rogue caterer?
And to make matters exponentially worse, the sky completely opens up and it starts violently pouring rain. The Belles are huddled together under an awning, trying to protect their hair.
And this is where Carrie strikes again.
Oof, yes. Instead of offering comfort to the bride, Carrie decides this is the perfect, opportune moment to bring her signature dark cloud energy. She looks at everyone, narrows her eyes, and says, "You know what they say when it rains on a wedding day."
I want to aggressively analyze and roast Carrie for this specific behavior because this is the psychology of hater.
The certified hater.
You are standing at this vulnerable woman's reception, which is currently teetering on the absolute brink of logistical disaster, and you are actively trying to plant the seed of bad luck. It is giving supreme hateration.
It really is.
Why do some people feel the uncontrollable urge to inject negativity into other people's vulnerable moments? It's because she is miserable in her own situation with Matt, so she wants the atmospheric vibes around her to match her internal state.
Wow, that is a read.
You do not bring up bad omens when the bride is already frantic about starving her guests. Keep your mouth firmly shut and aggressively sip a glass of complimentary champagne.
Exactly. We vehemently reject that negativity. But finally, a torturous 90 minutes late, the caterer pulls up in an unmarked black truck. And the excuse he gives to the frantic bride, he claims the tiny light bulb on his stove went out and they lost power in the kitchen.
A stove light? Are you actively kidding me? Let's talk about the logistical realities of event planning. A stove light does not delay a 100-person catering order for an hour and a half.
It makes no sense.
That means you didn't start cooking until the ceremony began. If I was footing that massive catering bill, I would be demanding a prorated refund immediately on camera. The sheer, unmitigated audacity to casually roll up with the food when the guests are basically ready to riot and eat the floral centerpieces out of sheer starvation.
But babes, this is where the episode completely redeemed itself for me. This is why I love these women. Despite the madness, the collective actually rallied.
They did step up.
Instead of sitting inside complaining about the delay and gossiping about Selena's failure, the husbands and the Belles, in their expensive formal wear, in their heels, in the pouring rain, ran out to that black truck and physically hauled the giant heavy metal trays of food inside to save the day.
It was surprisingly, shockingly functional. They tapped into a primal mechanism of community. They formed an actual bucket brigade of baked macaroni and cheese, green beans, and roasted chicken.
It was a beautiful, tangible moment of sisterhood. They didn't broadcast the issue to the guests. They didn't point fingers. They just recognized the crisis, jumped into action, fixed the problem, and let Selena have her perfect night without the guests ever knowing how close they came to ruin.
It's true.
It proved that underneath all the screaming on rented buses and fighting over business grand openings, when it truly fundamentally matters, they show up and carry the weight for each other.
I'll give them that. They absolutely earned their network paychecks that night. They executed under pressure. But you know who hasn't been earning their keep this season?
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
We have to address the elephant in the room. Let's look at the Reddit tea, because the fans have been meticulously clocking this discrepancy all season long. The ongoing, highly suspicious case of the missing demon.
Oh, the Tambra situation. This is the mystery of the century. Everywhere Tambra goes, at every event, every dinner, every trip, people ask, where's Demon? And every single time, her excuse is either a vague, he's working, or he's at home watching London Simone.
Let me read the room for a second, because the subreddits and the Twitter threads are absolutely on fire with conspiracy theories. The fans are calling him out as nothing more than a glorified off-camera babysitter.
It's savage online right now.
We have to look at the facts. They had that one highly forced, excruciatingly awkward dinner date earlier in the season where they had zero chemistry, and he has essentially vanished into thin air ever since.
The Snark Squad is ruthless, and they miss nothing. They are openly questioning if Tambra and Demon are even really in a legitimate romantic relationship anymore.
It's a valid question.
I mean, think about the premise of the job. You are heavily compensated to be on a reality television show about your authentic life, and your life partner flat out refuses to be a part of the narrative.
Exactly. It breaks the fundamental contract of reality TV transparency. Tambra gives us absolutely nothing of substance. She sits on the periphery of the drama. She makes a few exaggerated reaction faces for the camera. She passively agrees with Latrice. And she drops her child's full government name, London Simone, every 5 seconds, like she's trying to establish a trademark.
London Simone is cute, though.
Sure, but we have to seriously debate this. Does Tambra need to be officially demoted to a friend of the show next season? Because if your man won't sign a filming release, and you have absolutely no solo storyline other than dodging invasive questions about his whereabouts, you are taking up a full-time spot that could go to a woman who is actually willing to bleed for the ratings and bring the drama.
I honestly have to agree. We need radical transparency. If he doesn't want to be on camera because of his career or his privacy, that's completely fine. But then you, as a cast member, have to bring something else to the table.
Bring a business. Yeah. Bring a feud.
Yes. You have to show us your business struggles, your personal growth, something. You can't just be a well-dressed spectator.
All right. We have exhaustively unpacked the psychology of the episode, but now we have to formally lock in our verdicts. It is time for our highly structured segments. Keep your arguments tight, your logic flawless, and your snark razor sharp.
I am ready.
First up on the docket, Boss of the Week. Who takes the crown for the biggest business win, the best leadership moment, the biggest glow-up, or just the person who completely owned the narrative of the episode? I want a fierce defense.
I am planting my flag, and I am nominating Selena without a single moment of hesitation.
Interesting. Defend it.
Let's look at the emotional restraint she exhibited. Planning a wedding in a highly compressed timeline while filming a television show is stressful enough to break a person. Having your caterer go completely rogue and missing for 90 minutes while 100 of your closest friends and family stare at empty china plates would make 99% of brides turn into an absolute fire-breathing Godzilla.
That is statistically accurate.
She had every right to scream. But Selena kept her profound peace. She fiercely protected her joy. She essentially said, I'll be damned if a missing pan of chicken is going to dictate the emotional frequency of my wedding day. She looked beautiful, she stayed entirely focused on the love she has for Mike, and she owned her night. That is the definition of boss energy.
It's a very sweet, very empathetic answer, but structurally, it's the wrong answer.
Please see me.
I am nominating the collective as a whole entity, and I will defend this choice to the death. Hear me out. These women are chaotic. They are undeniably petty. They hold grudges over the most microscopic perceived slights.
True, true, and true.
They fight over who hosts brunches and who respects the hierarchy, but when that black truck pulled up in the pouring rain, they didn't wait for the venue staff to handle it. They didn't complain about ruining their expensive silk dresses or sweating out their fresh, expensive blowouts.
No, they didn't.
They physically hauled heavy catering trays through a thunderstorm to feed those guests. That is what being a true boss actually is, identifying a massive logistical crisis, bypassing your ego, rolling up your sleeves, and executing an immediate solution. They saved the wedding. They are the bosses.
That is an incredibly strong argument. Okay, I'll accept a tie because I love a moment of collective female empowerment. Next segment, brunch breakdown. We have to analyze the biggest, messiest group interaction of the episode, which was unequivocally the Atlanta tea tour.
The tea tour of terror.
Let's dissect the communication. I'll start with a controversial take. I think Marie handled herself perfectly on that bus, and I'll fight you on it.
You are absolutely out of your mind. She screamed, I'm a classy bitch, until her vocal cords nearly snapped.
She was defending her business.
If we are asking who communicated well on that bus, the only acceptable answer is the tour guide. And even he got brutally silenced. Honestly, from a sociological standpoint, no one communicated well. It was a masterclass in aggressive defensiveness, talking over each other, and failing to actively listen.
Okay, fine. The communication was universally terrible. So who stirred the pot the most?
Carrie. 100% Carrie. And here is why. She stirred the pot not by attacking, but by making endless, exhausting excuses for her toxic behavior.
The deflection.
Exactly. Instead of just taking accountability and saying, you know what, I was incredibly stressed about my business, I took it out on Matt, and I shouldn't have done that, she doubled down. She justified it with the 20 years excuse, and then she actively deflected the heat by dismissing Marie's very valid feelings about the grand opening. Deflection is the ultimate pot-stirring mechanism.
I agree, Carrie stirred it. But let's talk about who actually deserved an apology. Because I fiercely believe Marie deserved a profound apology for the business rumors being brought up.
For sure.
When, as a friend, that someone has deep PTSD from past fraud allegations that nearly ruined their life, bringing up internet gossip about their clinic closing is an incredibly low, dirty blow.
Is below the belt.
But at the exact same time, Marie needs to issue a massive apology to Carrie for being a hypocrite. Marie held Carrie to a rigid standard of attendance that she flat out didn't hold Latrice and Selena to. She gave the other women a pass for missing her opening, but she absolutely crucified Carrie for the exact same offense.
That is a very fair, balanced read. The hypocrisy was glaring. So in the midst of all this crossfire, who handled themselves the best on that cursed vehicle?
Honestly, the only correct answer is Selena. She just sat there in her gorgeous fascinator, silently sipping her lukewarm tea, desperately wishing she had just eloped in Vegas.
She really was just disassociating. Okay, let's move to the highly anticipated Belle balance sheet. It's time for our playful, yet ruthlessly accurate performance reviews.
Get the red pens ready?
We have to grade the core cast members on friendship, communication, business mindset, accountability, and entertainment value. Let's start with the CEO herself, Marie.
For Marie, her business mindset grade is an easy A+. She is fiercely, almost terrifyingly protective of her brand, her incorporated status, and her medical license.
Love to see it.
But her communication grade is a dismal D. You cannot scream, "I am a classy bitch" on a moving vehicle full of tourists and expect the audience to applaud your refined decorum.
Spot on. Now let's evaluate Carrie. Her accountability grade is a glaring, massive, irredeemable F.
Unfortunate, but true.
You simply cannot claim you've been working on not verbally abusing your husband for 20 years. That's not working on it. That's just a fully realized toxic lifestyle choice. And her friendship grade is a solid D- for the sheer audacity of shushing the innocent tour guide and for telling a frantic bride that it's bad luck when it rains on her wedding day.
Hater energy gets a D-. What about our beautiful bride, Selena?
Selena gets a resounding A for entertainment value, purely for the pure, unadulterated joy she experienced while throwing dollars at those blindfolded living room strippers.
She lived her best life.
She did. And she gets an A+ for friendship because she constantly, exhaustingly tries to mediate everyone else's chaotic drama without losing her own cool.
So true. And finally, our event planner extraordinaire, Latrice.
Latrice gets a definitive F for event planning. A joint, blindfolded stripper party in a brightly lit Airbnb living room for a highly conservative, traditional groom. It was a disastrous sociological miscalculation. Read the room and know your demographics, Latrice.
It was a swing and a miss. Okay, final segment before we wrap up this massive breakdown. The Southern Crystal Ball. We have to look into the future and predict what happens next, based on the psychological fallout of this finale.
Hand me the crystal ball.
What is the absolute biggest friendship shift we are going to see heading into the next season?
From an analytical standpoint, Marie and Kerri are fundamentally irreparably done. There is absolutely no coming back from the level of public disrespect shown on that bus.
You really think there's no repair?
None. Marie demands unwavering loyalty and deference to the established hierarchy, and Kerri stubbornly refuses to bow down or apologize. They will be actively, aggressively icing each other out, fighting for alliances with the other women next season.
I see that completely. The trust is entirely broken. What about the biggest confrontation? We know the highly anticipated reunion is airing next week.
Oh, the reunion is going to be a nuclear event. My crystal ball clearly dictates that the biggest confrontation will center entirely around the dramatic return of Amanda and Shantae.
Oh, yes. The sidelined queens.
They have been sidelined, they are bubbling with anger, and when they finally hit those reunion couches, they are going to set the entire soundstage on fire. They have absolutely nothing left to lose, and all the printed text message receipts to spill. It's going to be a bloodbath.
I am so ready for the receipts.
Yeah.
Okay, give me your chaotic prediction. Give me one completely wild, unhinged scenario that somehow feels entirely possible in this cinematic universe.
I predict a catastrophic surprise post-up disaster. Lateshia has been pushing Glen so incredibly hard all season for this complex post-nuptial agreement to protect her brand's assets.
She has been relentless.
I predict they finally sign the papers, and then one of them immediately, almost accidentally, violates a bizarre, highly specific morality clause written deep into the contract, causing a complete legal and marital meltdown on camera. Either that, or Latrice is going to announce a shock pregnancy out of nowhere, purely to spite Cliff's stated desire to just be a grandpa.
A post-up morality clause violation would be absolute peak reality television. Babes, what an exhausting, exhilarating finale. From the stale crumpets to the missing catering chicken, it gave us absolutely everything we could ever want from the genre.
It truly did. It was a masterclass in human flaw. And now we have to turn the mic over to the Snark Squad.
Yes, we need you guys.
Listeners, we need you in the comments and in our DMs immediately. Who impressed you the most this week? Which fragile friendship do you think actually has a statistical chance of surviving this mess?
And most importantly, if you had unlimited blank check funds to start any delusional dream business tomorrow, what would you pitch us?
We want to hear all of your wildest, most unhinged business plans.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight and letting us spiral. Please remember to subscribe to the feed, leave us a glowing 5-star review because it fuels our egos, and share this conversation with another reality TV-loving babe in your life.
We survived this exhausting adulting mess together, one heavy-handed peach bourbon lemonade at a time. I'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. We watch these shows for the drama, but it forces you to wonder, can a genuine friendship ever truly survive when its most vulnerable, painful moments are constantly being commodified for our entertainment? Does the camera fundamentally destroy the very empire they're trying to build?
Ooh, think about that one.
Stay ambitious, stay fabulous, and we'll see you on the Snark side.